Good evening, everybody. I just got off work. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There is so much shit going on, and I thought I just do something I haven't done in a while, which is a TikTok live. I have done Substack lives because, to an extent, they're a little safer. But I figure I give it a shot before TikTok goes the way of the dodo. Um, this I will download it to TikTok. Hopefully, I can download it to YouTube. It gets weird when I do that. Definitely not Substack. I haven't figured that out. Mike does it. I got to ask him how to do that. Anyway, I hope your evening's going well. It's still cool here in Georgia, 38 degrees, as you can see on my garage with my blanket and my little heater running in the background. Want to address a few things that are going on as usual. Every day is just another day in purgatory. I swear to Almighty God. It's just that I wake up in the morning and I see, the latest craziness going on, the latest announcement from the White House, from the pen of Stephen Miller. Now we're hearing that. Now we're hearing that Stephen Miller has been writing or editing Trump's executive orders. That explains the psychosis of a lot of these executive orders, and how it seems to be getting crazier and crazier and crazier as we progress into this beginning of this year. I cannot believe we're 36 days into the year, and it feels like forever. We can address the obvious, but really quick, I want to make a quick note. Even though Tom Homan has said that they're reducing the amount of ICE people in ICE troops in Minnesota, the siege still continues. They are still out there looking for bodies, arresting bodies. People are still out there protesting, doing their best. I'm seeing protests here in Atlanta because they've showed up in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area. And we'll see how that goes. This area around Atlanta is not it's not what they think it is. So we'll see how it goes. There's a very mixed population around here, and people usually look out for their neighbors, so we'll see how it goes. There were some protests against ICE I saw on UGA, which is surprising, and around Atlanta. But here we are at this point. So I just want to make it clear, because Mike said it yesterday in his live, hey guys, remember that even though that, as he refers to him, which I think is fantastic, that Timo Flintstone, yeah, they're lying, and they're going to continue it, and they're going to do as much as they can. The problem we have with ICE right now is that they really continue to believe that they're basically being given carte blanche. And I was thinking about this today, that the problem we have with dealing with ICE, or people dealing with ICE on the congressional level or the Democratic level, or, the funding is only for 2 weeks. They're trying to cut a deal with it. And I wouldn't trust Chuck Schumer to say, with anything. I mean, I wouldn't let him, babysit my goldfish, let alone anything else. So, so they're trying to cut a deal to control ICE. Here's the thing, okay? ICE is not a law enforcement agency. That's the problem. They keep thinking that ICE is a law enforcement agency. Okay, it's just there to for immigration purposes, to enforce some laws that people have got through cracks. That's all they were there. They were put into place right after 9/11 because the Bush administration had to cover for their total screw-ups after 9/11. They had to. They had no choice. If you're watching this, please share it live so we can get a few more people in. I'm going to go probably about 45 minutes before I freeze anymore. So that's it. And they've been basically the boogeyman for years. I mean, there is not a TV show I have not seen recently where ICE shows up, especially in SVU, to go in there and screw up an investigation because they need to get rid of the alien. I mean, that's how they've been depicted. Well, they're living up to it right now, but beyond that, because they've been given carte blanche by everybody. The idea that Mike Johnson is floating, which I don't know why you guys don't get it. When he's talking, when they say that they have only administrative warrants, which is just basically a nothing thing to arrest somebody for. It's what you take to a judge to get a judicial warrant, to do an actual arrest, okay? The reason, for his reasoning saying these people are already guilty because they're supposedly violating the laws for being here illegal. How do you know that? How do you know that without probable cause? How do you know that without seeing a judge warrants for their arrest or warrant to enter their home? How do you see that? All right, that's just based on some old paperwork, or you pick them up and you figure it out later. That's what they're doing. But his point, Mike Johnson was going, hey, no, if we needed judicial warrants for everyone, it would take forever. Yeah, if you had not stripped the immigration system of the judges and the system, you wouldn't have this problem. And you give these people, as one person described, a bunch of virgin white guys with anger issues, weapons. This is what you get, okay? Because you listen to them, you get it. These guys are on power trips, all right? And they hide their faces. So let's be honest, okay? ICE, hey, GI, ICE is not a law enforcement agency. It's not what it was even before this all came into fruition under Stephen Miller's guide. Don't let you fool yourself. This all came from Stephen Miller and the Project 2025 people. And this is what it is, because this is not immigration. This is ethnic cleansing, okay? And they're not, and the Democrats have to look at this way. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Cory Booker, all you corporate Democrats who are taking money from both sides. And if I find out one of you guys have been taking money from these private prison places, that's over. It's bad enough that I found out that Chuck Schumer is taking money from Plantier. Remember Peter Thiel's thing? I mean, you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. But they keep looking at it as we're trying to rein in a law enforcement agency. No, you're not. You got to treat them for what they are. They're a gang. They're a fucking gang. Period. Look how they act. Look how they stick together. Look what they do. Okay? They're a gang. And they keep talking about, the gangs, the MS-13. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to these gangs, okay? ICE is about to find out when they're rolling into Compton what gangs really are, and their gang is nothing compared to the ones that have really been around for years. But the point is simple. You can't treat them like a law enforcement agency. You have to pair them out. My God. They talk about ICE on the street. They haven't even talked about the detention centers, especially once the one built here in Georgia. They want to build one in an open area around Social Circle here in Georgia. Why? They want to buy warehouses. Why? Why do you want to warehouse people? Why you warehouse people? Why? Through videos that we got gotten snuck out of these cases, detention centers, let's call them what they are, they're camps. They got 50 people in a cell jammed together on the ground. No food, no water, cruel guards, God, that sounds familiar. Gee, where have we ever seen that before? I mean, it's just, and the Democrats are treating this like, yeah, well, it's another thing we'll do a bipartisan decision on. No, what you need to tell them is one, you strip ICE back down to what it was. They went from $8 billion to $87 billion. You can take that money away from them. I don't give a crap if it came from the first budget bill. You're reauthorizing that. You could strip that. All right. Two, and I agree with them here. Mask off, badges on, numbers, names, like any law enforcement agency. If you're going to be a law enforcement agency, act like a law enforcement agency. Okay. Why? And don't give me that where they're trying to hide their faces. Really? Then why, if a cop commits a felony like they do, if they did half the stuff they do, everyone would know who they are. We've had enough officer-involved shootings. We've seen badges and names. It's just ridiculous. You're making excuses for the gang. It's simple as that. And who are you hiring? Oh, Lord, we know who you're hiring. We know who you're hiring. We see it all the time. Okay? Because you hear them. And the worst thing about it that just sickens me, the two people identified that were that shot Alex Peretti on the street were Hispanic. And there are a lot of Hispanics in ICE. What is wrong with you? Do you hate your skin that much? Is it that desperate to get a job, to get money and a job? Do you know that they're going to turn on you, right? You know they don't care about you. I mean, that's the thing. Whenever you're a race trader, you're just a pet. You're a mascot till they don't need you anymore. And there you go, whoosh, in with the rest of them. I mean, you're going to get the worst from the rest of us. Okay? I mean, when people hear they're Hispanic, man, they go off. So I wanted to make sure, again, understand Minneapolis is still a war zone. Created by ICE. You know, people keep talking about we want to go back to the old times, to when it was okay. You can't go back to what it was, but I would like a little peace of mind that if I can go to a fucking gas station without worrying if someone drives up on me and sees that I'm brown, I have to show my ID or be questioning who I am. All right? I mean, you see that all the time. You know, they roll up. Why? Because there's a bounty on each one of our heads. I mean, that includes protesters. You drag in a protester, they give you some money, supposedly. Although apparently working for Donald Trump, a lot of these guys are finding out they're not getting paid or they're not getting their health care. What a fucking shock. What a shock. I mean, you could... anyone who's worked for Donald Trump for decades knows this. That's his modus operandi. That's how they do it. And now that the federal government has got his stench on it, of course. Of course. But here's the new thing. This is what they're doing, okay? Hey, we're going to talk about midterms right now. Let's see here. You guys talking about Compton going to Compton. I don't see ICE going into Compton. I don't see anything about it. Yeah, they are there. There are stories. You can look it up. There have been pushes back on it. The media has been hiding a lot of this stuff. Media has been hiding the protest. They don't want people to see that Trump is not what he thinks he is. He is not popular. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to address a few things. I want to address the economy soon. Again, I'm going to still finish up with ICE. Want to talk about a couple of things that may come to my mind, especially here in Georgia. Things that we have to be looking out for, and then basically to keep the faith, because I want to make sure you guys understand what we're seeing is an extinction burst. Trump is getting worse and worse each day. That interview with NBC News was horrendous. You could see it. He is trying to convince you that everything's okay. Believe me, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe the math. Okay? That's his goal right now. Because I mean, what are Republicans Republicans caring about? Anything but actually what the help you. In Iowa, they're coming with some legal discrimination bill. Indiana's coming up with stuff. Republicans do not govern. They figure a way to get rid of us, to make it worse. And that's what they're going to about to deal with in November. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But the thing with what I'm really, really, really concerned about is that in the DC bubble, the Democrats aren't hearing us. They're not seeing what's going on in the street. They're not out there. I want to see Hakeem Jeffries show up in Minneapolis. All right. Hey, Cory Booker, they're in New Jersey. They're picking up people. Might want to show up. Okay. No body cam is going to save these people because they're doing it without due process. Mike Johnson said that we don't have due process anymore. Our Fourth Amendments are shot. The First Amendment is shot because everyone's attacking it, just protesters protesting, saying something. Okay? Second Amendment. Hey, all of a sudden you can't have illegal firearms? All of a sudden? What was that years ago? And all of a sudden, the thing about it, let's face it, they found out that people who are not like them have weapons. Yeah, they do. And they know how to use them. Hey, Shane, how you doing, brother? Been a while. And that's the thing that freaks them out. All of a sudden, he goes, "What do you mean, liberals or people on the left have weapons? I thought they didn't like them." No, they didn't like not any kind of regulation and control of weapons. That's not our issue. Okay, doesn't mean that they don't want them or have them. Sorry. And now you're upset because people may use them under the Second Amendment, which you guys keep telling us is to stop the tyranny of the government. You just didn't think it's going to be your government. You know, and all of a sudden, Jeanine Pirro's going, we're going to arrest anyone with a weapon. Look, they're in Georgia right now. Georgia is open carry. Literally. You don't have to conceal it. Literally, it is like gun smoke if you want. Okay? And they keep pressing in these southern states that what's going to happen. You saw what happened in North Carolina? A lot of them, why they ran out of Ashland, don't want to go out to North Carolina because a lot of people were brandishing weapons. There was one confrontation never forgot where this guy had an open carry weapon, North Carolina, and the ICE agent says, you know, why do you have your weapon here? Because you have one. And the guy goes, what are you going to take it out? No, if you put your hand on yours, I'll put my hand on mine. And that unnerved him. Whistles unnerve him. Everything unnerves these guys because they're cowards. They're cowards. All right? And even though those two ICE agents have been identified, apparently were veterans, they're still cowards. Because they should have known better than shoot a man in the back after you take his weapon. All right? Even the guy who shot Renee Good apparently was a veteran, ICE, Border Patrol agent or ICE agent. All right? I am about, from Kennesaw, I am about an hour, because that's up north for me. I mean, I'm 40 miles east of Atlanta, but I'm about an hour away from the border. So it's a little ways. Didn't they have a law you have to have a gun and take a course? I don't know. Georgia's weird, and if you take a course, it might be online. You can look it up. I mean, trust me, I see people open carry all the time here. So, you know, I mean, they're more inclined to use it in Atlanta, around the Atlanta area, because that's the thing. If they were in Valdosta and you have farm workers down there, I'd be concerned. You're going to be here in Atlanta, that could get ugly. They're already protest. That's the thing. Minneapolis set the standard for all the other cities. All the other cities are ready for these guys. Oh, they are so ready for them. That's the thing. And you saw in Los Angeles, they aren't playing in LA. The problem in LA is twofold. Now, I'm from Los Angeles originally, born and bred. Been in Georgia for close to 16 years. Okay. What's going on in Los Angeles is that not only ICE, but apparently the LAPD's decided to take ICE's side. The chief of police is not enforcing the mask law. What pisses me off is that the chief of police serves at the behest of the city council and the chief and the mayor of Los Angeles, and I'm not hearing a peep out of them. They have a police commission, and basically, LAPD has been running guard for ICE and stepping on protesters. They've been doing what ICE does in Minneapolis to protesters. Local police doesn't want to get involved. Why? Because a lot of them agree. That's the sad thing. It's kind of weird. And yeah, you're right, TikTok. As soon as it gets warm, it's just get bigger. And it's starting to warm up. It's going to warm up in Minnesota. And it's 30-something degrees. It's going to warm here for the next 3 days in the 70s. And that's the thing. Even if the Democrats sell us out, which I think they will, they're going to come up with some weird-ass shit. Chuck Schumer is going to come out with that sleazy smile of his and that sleazy accent and say we fixed it and not. What I'm pissed about is that all this with the ACA subsidies, he did nothing after it all fell apart. He got his vote, nothing. People were without health insurance. A lot of people without health insurance. A lot of people are going to die because they don't have health insurance. And the thing was, it just pisses me off because, yeah, you might have lost the war. I get it. What we're going to do? I mean, there were too many Republicans against it. I get it. We could have put up a better battle and made them suffer for it. Well, the government was shut down. No, the government was shut down. It's just that it was coming up to the holidays, and you got pressure from the airline industry and your donors, so you pressed it. So you can get the airlines up and running. As soon as the threats were shutting down the airports, all of a sudden you fucking panicked. I know how you guys work, okay? And we will remember that. Let me make this clear. If you are so-called moderate, independent, and you think both sides are the same, you are part of the problem, and you're not human because you do not see what's going on. You don't see they're taking children. You don't see that they literally want to grab another 5-year-old, take Liam Ramos again back. You don't see Mike Lawler up there lying about him, lying about Liam Ramos, saying that his father abandoned him. Bullshit. And those are guys who say that to your face and dare you to do something about it. Arrogant fucks. That's the biggest thing. Republicans think still that this is a winner. This is a winner. It's not a winner. You're losing the narrative. As more as Trump tries to fix the narrative, the more you try to fix it, it gets worse. Okay? And watching him at the prayer breakfast today was so... And watching them bring the president of El Salvador out there at a breakfast, at a prayer breakfast. I mean, I wish Jesus had showed up and said, no, A man who has a torture prison. A man who is meaner than Stephen Miller up there talking about God and Christ and forgiveness. Dear Lord Almighty, what the hell is wrong with you people? And that's the thing. Everything's twisted. And I'm going to say this straight up for all you guys. If you ask someone about what's going on because I don't follow politics, you tell them it's not about politics. It's not about left. It's not about right. It's about it's not about left or right leaning politics. It is about morality and your basic human rights and your American rights. Okay? Someone asked me, I was saying that ICE violated the law. And someone said, someone tell me, someone wrote a comment challenging me and goes, yeah, well, quote the quote the U.S. code that they in. Oh, that's easy. It's called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And they're violating our first, second, fourth, fifth without due process, no habeas corpus. Oh yeah, toss in the 10th Amendment because they're telling the states you have no rights when it comes to this. We can do anything we want in your state. In Minnesota, they're trying to get the fucking voter rolls. They're still squeezing them. But here's the thing that pisses me off. They're announcing that the Department of Transportation is not sending funds for approved projects in blue states because there's fraud. Some kind of fraud that they determined. There's no fraud. There's no FBI investigating any kind of fraud. This is all based on what they're trying to do in California, what they did in Minnesota. You know, Nick Shirley? Yeah, that little scumbag who started the whole thing with the Somalis, with the fraud about Somalis and daycare, something that had been settled years ago, but he was hired by the Speaker of the Minnesota House because she wants a leg up on governor. They figure they can pin Tim Walz to the wall about fraud that has already been handled. That person, those people were convicted, and the person who was the leader recently got convicted, and she was a white woman. So much for that. Oh, look, I have now been restricted. Isn't that great? Because we're talking about politics. I love this is why this is probably the last time I do a live here. I'm going to go to Substack because this is just ridiculous. So I'm restricted for 10 minutes. If you're still in here, great. But I'm going to bring up one thing that you've seen. So Nick Shirley is running around. No, no kidding, TikTok. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be someone didn't like what I said. What am I saying? I'm just telling you the truth. Truth is this. That's why I'm going to, again, if you're not following me in TikTok, I'm sorry, I'm here at TikTok. Now follow me in a Substack. I'm Binder38 US at Substack. Same with YouTube. And so follow me there. I have a paid subscription. It's only $8 a month. If you want to help me with my work, that pays for like newspaper and subscriptions, The Atlantic and all that, and New York Times. Not the Washington Post anymore. That's dead. You know, R.I.P. Washington Post. That was a murder. That was an execution, a public execution we saw the other day. So I have two restrictions. Let's see what we got here. Two restrictions. What are my restrictions here? Whatever. I don't care anymore. I'll do this. I have a different name on Substack, I think. Yeah, that would be different. I would see putting TikTok starting to suck. That's good. Oh, I appreciate you, GI. So this is their plan now. What they're doing is, let's see here. What they're doing right now is that they have these influencer like Nick Shirley, when he started that mess in Minnesota with no proof other than one video that has been debunked. He is now in Los Angeles looking for fraud, but he's not finding fraud, and people are jumping on him. He's looking for fraud. I don't know what else. They just send these guys. Now they have other right-wing influencers looking for fraud in Los Angeles, mostly daycares and all that, because they want to prove that money that the federal government sends them to help kids is being siphoned off. The worst one, though, recently was Oz. Dr. Oz went to California to talk about medical aid, especially for home health care. They're going after home health care, okay? Let me tell you why they're going after home health care. Because home health care is primarily done by people of color, primarily done by immigrants. It is Hey Eric, I'm glad you're here. I have some questions about Iowa for you. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How about you?
You're fine. I was just bringing up what they're doing with fraud, the so-called fraud stuff, where they sent Dr. Oz to California looking for fraud, mostly in the home health care industry, because the home health care industry has done a lot of the people that do it. They do it because they're people of color, immigrants. I mean, how many Filipinos are in the hospital? I mean, I've done it. I've seen it. You've seen it. And so Oz was running around saying you couldn't find home health care and all that. And he says he blames it on Armenian mafia.
Well, I hadn't seen that.
Armenia mafia. He is standing in front of an Armenian bakery saying that's where the mafia hang out. This guy doesn't. They went and interviewed the guy. He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's been a U.S. citizen for 40 years. I lived in Fresno. There is a huge Armenia population in California. All right. And I'm looking at this going, what are you talking about? But the federal government now doesn't want to send, Department of Transportation isn't going to send money designated for public transportation projects because of fraud. Billions of dollars. It's crap. They're not going to do it. That's going to go to court. That's already
Oh,
been
of
debunked
course.
several times.
Of
But that's
course.
their plan. That's their plan with the midterms. Is if they can prove that the blue states are ripping us off, we can run on that. They're so dead right now. Sound funny? They're looking for that.
Oh,
Um,
they're reaching for anything they can find to give them any sort of an advantage. And this is
mhm.
just another play on everything else uh, that they have. Basically, their whole thing when it comes to any sort of assistance, whether we're talking about um, home health care, whether we're talking about food stamps, whether we're talking about Medicaid, whether we're talking about WIC, doesn't matter. If you're talking about any sort of assistance, their whole ideology is stuff that we've dealt with since the 80s, where if you're a minority group and you're getting assistance, it's fraud. If you look like me and you're on assistance, you clearly earned it and you've paid into it and you deserve it. That is their whole thing, and they've been running on it since the 80s.
and that, yeah, the whole welfare mom. That this came from the Reagan administration. The stripping down of basically the war on poverty that Johnson set up. That's what they're
Yep.
doing. I mean, they're basically taking apart the war on poverty that Johnson set up, and then going after the New Deal. Social Security is the other parts of it. But they're I don't think the narrative's working because their solution is to send ICE to fix it. They sent ICE in Minneapolis to fix it. That didn't work really well,
No.
and it's still not working. And my concern is that the Democrats don't see. They keep seeing ICE as a law enforcement agency. I was saying they're a gang.
Oh yeah.
They're a gang.
Well,
That's all they are.
there's two branches of ICE, and unfortunately, the original ICE, the way it was intended, is not stepping up and doing anything against the rest of it. The other branch of ICE, they're all under the name of the same thing, but it's all of the Proud Boys, the one percenters,
Yes,
the three percenters, the Oath Keepers, the Patriot Front, all of those groups that got brought into um, ICE. They're the groups doing, I think, doing the bulk of it. Unfortunately, just regular ICE agents who were there before Donald Trump became president again, who are trying to do the job the right way, they're going to be held just as liable for everything these other people are doing. Um, and they're, like you said, they're a gang. They're thugs at this point because of all of the other groups that have joined ICE
exactly.
that weren't legit members of law enforcement.
No, and that's the biggest thing. And what worries me with the negotiations right now in Washington is that those idiots, Chuck Schumer et al., still look at it as a law enforcement agency and they don't see what's going on. Now, if they can force them to take off the mask, a lot of them are going to run for the hills
And I think
because they
what
don't
they're
want that.
trying, well, I think what they're trying to do is they are trying to deal with them like a law enforcement agency, by requiring the body cams, requiring them to unmask, requiring them to wear badges and identification, because by treating them that way, like you said, a lot of these uh, non-ICE agent thugs that are, yes, they are ICE agents because they were hired in, but they are not actually there to do immigration. They're there to
No.
be the muscle. Will drop. They will run away. And I
Yes.
saw
Oh,
another
you see
creator
it.
talking about this though, that apparently this $50,000 sign-on bonus is
Tell the
designed.
story.
Well, it's designed to keep these ICE agents, the Proud Boys, the 1% or 3%ers, all of those groups, and the other ones. Some of them are just people who, hey, 50 grand extra sounds great. I've got bills to pay. I need a quick job that joined. It's designed to keep them there and keep them working, because you get a 10 grand bonus off the top. They're going to take about a third of it in taxes, so you get about 6,500. Okay, cool. A lot of these people are going to end up having to pay, or it's going to go to some bill, right? They're not going to have it. So it's
Right,
not going
right.
to sit in a bank account where it's collecting
Oh
dust.
no, it burned. It became part of the economy quickly.
Right. Which, I mean,
Yeah.
that part, I'm okay with them spending that money. That's fine. They can do whatever they want with it. However, if they don't make it 5 years, they have to pay back whatever they have earned before, like, and this is in full, not the part after taxes. So you're there a year, you owe them 10 grand. You're there 2 years, you owe them 20. You're there 3, now you're up to 30. These people won't have 30 grand sitting around in a bank.
No.
And if they want to quit, they're going to say, well, you owe us this and it's due immediately. Oh shit, well, I can't quit. Now they got to put in the 5. And what's going to happen is come 2029, when the Democrats take over, because I firmly believe there will be a Democratic president in 29, they're all going to get fired. And that bonus is going to have to be repaid. They have been fucked by this administration, and
Oh
they
yeah.
don't even realize it.
And it's in and it's and I they're and you can see some of these ice ages. And I was seeing there was a video of a guy, unfortunately in Los Angeles, they're arresting someone and people were all over him, but unfortunately they got somebody. Um, and I'm watching the ice agents, getting harassed. One of the ice agents is as big as us. What the
Yeah.
fuck? I mean,
Yeah.
just
I couldn't pass the physical requirements to be an ICE agent
hell
before
no.
they reduced them for these people. I couldn't do it. So I would never have tried. These people,
It's like
I refer to them as Mule Team 6 or the Gravy
yes.
Seal.
Oh, and I love that Trucker T put up a video of someone running from ICE, and these two guys were like, this guy took off like a rabbit, and they started to follow him, and I'm looking at him, and I started to laugh, and I put the comment, those guys couldn't catch a pizza. I mean, they couldn't, and that's the point. They're not law enforcement, and
No.
it's disturbing because I watch them because a lot of these enjoy it. This is they're getting off on this.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Stephen Miller's getting off on it. Here's the thing, you know this and I know this. Reports are coming out before WAPO died. Washington Post had a report. The person writing the executive orders or correcting them is Stephen Miller. Trump
I
is just
believe it.
reading stuff that's put in front of him.
Well, he's constantly being, and before I get too deep into that, I want to say this isn't unusual for presidents to have somebody else write the executive order for him. Like, presidents do it all the time. But
Okay.
what's different here is, you, like Biden or Obama would say to an aide, okay, I want to write an executive order doing this, and give them some talking points and say, okay, now write it for me in a way that works. Because,
Okay.
I guarantee you that all past presidents have done that, said, okay, I want to do this.
Oh yeah, legalese stuff.
But
Yeah, I
write
can
it
see that.
immediately
Yeah.
so it holds. What happens with Donald Trump instead is people like Stephen Miller are writing this saying, hey, Donnie, we got this executive order here. It'll make you look really good if you sign it. Why don't you sign it? This is what it does. And because he doesn't read, he
Nope.
doesn't know what's in it. And he just believes them point blank because they're the ones propping him up. All it takes to get Donald Trump to do anything is to pat him on the back, tell him he's a genius. And everybody thinks, that, or he thinks that everyone's going to love whatever he does. And that's not the case.
Oh, he's getting. He doesn't get it right now.
No.
He's been enclosed in a bubble. You can hear that interview with the embassy. He's still talking about the economy is great. By the way, $600,000 jobs lost in January. 600,000 layoffs.
Yep.
Okay. Now it's not going to show up on the corporate side because that's money saved, but it's going to show up later on when people are demanding why they don't have any help. I mean, but he's still saying the economy's hot. Everyone loves me. I have a 90% approval rating. They keep him in this little bubble because they don't want to tell him the truth. But when he hears the truth, he freaks out.
Well,
He freaks out.
Well, did you see he shared some poll numbers, and these
Yeah,
were polling numbers that were taken from a poll his campaign or his people did through one of his fundraising emails. And what he's still fundraising for, I have no idea because he can't run again. But it was one of those take this poll, but you have to end up donating in order to have your result count. And it has things like, are you a man, are you a woman, or are you insane? Do you side with us, or are you a crazy liberal? Those kind of things. So it was
right,
clearly skewed, right? And he only got
right,
a 67% approval rating out of that poll. And these were people that had to donate to him to actually
wow.
take the poll.
Okay, that's disturbing, isn't
Yeah,
it? Um,
it's
but
hilarious, honestly.
and again, you could hear it in his voice or his desperate. I mean, the reason he's not going to be at the Super Bowl is because
He
he
doesn't want
knows
to get
he's
booed.
going. Oh, he knows he's not going to get booed. All right. Um, the I give the NFL credit. I don't know what Roger Goodell is thinking. I don't know what he's pissed at Trump. Bad Bunny is a good choice because who he is. He's a huge star. That's smart. And for some people, I think one of the I don't know, it was Laura Loomer or one of the other females on Fox was going, they don't get it. Most people who speak Spanish don't watch NFL football. Are you out of your fucking mind? Have you seen Raider fans? Oh my
Yeah.
God, really? I mean, and I saw that I'm going, really? Honestly. And what I thought was I think what sealed it off, he might have come to the pre-show for the first act, but they dropped Green Day on him. Oh yeah, Roger
Oh yeah.
Goodell's got a hard on for Trump. He dropped Green Day on him, and Green Day don't give a shit. They're ready. They were primed, so he doesn't show. For me, that's great because I don't have to hear his face. They don't have to show him in the audience. That's great. I have no problem with that. But he doesn't want to show up for the Olympics. They sent JD Vance to Italy, which is an embarrassment as unto itself. The Italian Olympic Committee is asking people in the area, try not to boo him, be nice to him, give us a break because we're going to hear shit. That tells.
Well,
Did you see his interviews, JD Vance? Going off a side thing. Did you see those interviews with him? Um,
no.
he's so disingenuous. The first one, I think, was an NBC reporter asked him about, "Are you going to apologize to Alex Paredes's family?" And his first reaction was, "What for?" Literally, what for? And the guy goes, "Because you called him a domestic terrorist, and he's not." And he went on a diatribe about Peretti. All right, when he was with Megyn Kelly, he defended Trump attacking Caitlin, the CNN reporter.
Caitlin
for
Collins.
asking Caitlin Collins asking about the Epstein files. He is trying. So I look at him. That I do you want? Forgive me. I'm going to be geeky for you guys. You watch the old Outer Limits. You're old enough. Do you remember the old Outer Limits show?
Vaguely.
Okay. Okay. There was an episode called "A Man with a Glass Hand." Robert Cup was in it, and so it was a cheap show, right? What it was a great show, but it was cheap because they only had so much. So the aliens they had, okay, were guys with stocking mask over their face, and they put like real black eyeliner over their eyes. And I'm looking at JD Vance in these two interviews, like going, "Oh, he looked exactly like that." And the thing about it, he keeps trying. They know that Trump is on his last physical presence on Earth, and they keep trying to foist him onto us. To so look, everything's okay. Look what we have. And I'm looking at this guy going, "You're to use the term for Hamilton. They're going to tear him to pieces. Jesus
Oh yeah.
Christ, this is going to be fun
It's going to be
because they
fun.
will eat him alive."
Now, I think one of the reasons why um, they are having JD Vance go to Italy for the Olympics, twofold. One, Donald Trump is not allowed in Italy as a felon.
Good
Basically,
point.
he can't go. Two, I think somebody around Donald Trump, somebody else in the administration, sees the writing on the wall that Donnie's time is short. He keeps talking about legacy and he wants to make Mar-a-Lago like Graceland. And is he going to get into heaven? He's talking all these things. Donald Trump knows his time is short. But the thing is, when they're doing what Joe Biden should have done with Kamala Harris, they're showcase right, wrong, or otherwise. They're at least in certain points they're trying to showcase JD Vance enough that when that time comes, they are going to be ready with JD, so people are aware of him. Whereas what happened with Kamala, she fell into the typical VP role, faded into
Right.
obscurity, and ended up, when it was time for her to take over, people went, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
And if they would have showcased her from the beginning, from the minute Joe Biden said, "I'm going to be a one-term president," she should have been front and center at every press conference. She should have been front and center at every signing. She should have been right there and had a chance to speak to the American people at all of those events. But instead, she got lost in the shuffle. And then I've said this before, and some people have said I'm insane for saying it. When Joe Biden stepped aside in June of 2024 and said, "I'm not running," he should have resigned. Let her become
Yes.
president. He could have said, "I'm resigning in a week. We're going to set up an inauguration. We're going to do it right and not have it be some back room, office of the White House thing. Do it right." And then she could have ran from the office of the president.
Yes.
And her being the incumbent would have changed that race in its entirety.
Exactly. It would have been a difference and forced people to make a choice from the presidency of the already we have a
And
black woman as president, but
well, that
you have to understand within that whole democratic thing, the corporate masters were not going to be down with that
well,
at
but
all.
that would have killed some of the
Hmm.
talking points. I'm still hearing it because did you see the video put out by Harris HQ yesterday where it made it look like she was coming back and doing something?
No, I heard about it. What is it?
Right. Well, they had a where it looked like they were logging into Harris HQ, and they were gonna, people were already saying, "Oh, she's coming back. She's gonna make a run for 2028. Oh, she's got the evidence. She's gonna kick Donald Trump out of office." All of this shit. None of it was true. What they're ended up
Right.
doing is they're creating a space trying to get everybody together in part ahead of the midterms as kind of a resistance HQ type place,
Yeah.
um, which is great. But people were already saying, and I saw comments going, well, maybe this time if she runs, she would actually have to be in a primary. There wasn't a primary. There was a motherfucking primary for the Democrats in 2024. Joe Biden won with like 97% because nobody of note ran against him. His only competition was RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. And they barely got any notice. So and then they said, well, she was just appointed. Well, she would have become the president if he would have stepped aside, completely resigned like Nixon did. She would have been running from a position of being the incumbent. And for those people that said, well, there wasn't a primary, you could come back and say well, why would there be a primary? She's the incumbent.
Yeah.
She's the incumbent president, not the incumbent vice president. And it would be huge.
Yeah, it would have been a different cat.
That election in its entirety. But I
don't think you're crazy. I think it would have been a good strategic move, but they were the problem is they were on the fear of Donald Trump. Okay, they feared Trump, everything he did, everything he said. They came from a point of fear. I mean, even the DOJ for Trump, for Biden feared political fallback from going after Trump instead of treating him like the criminal he was. We're paying the price for that. I will never. Yeah. I'm sorry. I will never fucking forgive the Biden administration for thinking that what Trump did was political. It was all criminal, and you should have treated it like that. Period. But they did not.
Well, both sides. Okay. Remember back in 2021 in January when the Republicans had their chance to end up removing Donald Trump. They could have had him impeached. They could have removed him. They could have hit him with the penalty of never being able to run for public office again. And they could have been rid of him. What did Mitch McConnell say? He comes out and he says, well, he's already out of office. It's kind of a moot point. We don't need to worry about that. Everything that he did was criminal. We can let the DOJ handle it. The Republicans expected Biden's DOJ to clean up their mess. And then when they didn't, we got stuck with him. But Merrick Garland said, well, it's a political matter. It should have been dealt with through the impeachment, basically. It's kind of, he didn't say it directly.
Well, he's directly,
but he would say it was a political matter. He never really said, well, impeachment should handle it, but he said it's politics. I don't want to appear political. Well, motherfucker, you're one of the reasons we're dealing with him right now. If you and if you want to complicate what you're just about to say, they had the fucking Epstein files. Yeah. They saw his name on that. Yeah. Yeah. They had numerous things they could have gotten him on. Legally, that wouldn't have been political. But instead,
nope.
They let it go. And if Merrick Garland would have gotten off his ass, if he would have appointed Jack Smith in May of 2021, Donald Trump would have been behind bars before the midterms.
Oh hell yeah, and a lot of other people. It would have been a bloodbath. But see, now we're stuck because, and that's the one thing again I think is frustrating with the Democrats because they keep talking like that again. Okay, we're in a different world. Why do you? The reason that Republicans are worried is that their bullshit isn't working. Okay, we know their bullshit isn't working when they lose 2 deep red seats in Texas. One of them a House seat, one of them a Senate seat. Here in Georgia, the Republicans are putting up a good face, but they know they're kind of screwed. They lost 2 public races for public commissioner races that they never lose, and they've lost 2 special elections here. You got 2 special elections coming up. One of them coming up in March for Marjorie Taylor Greene's 14th district. There are 27 people running for that. Majority, only 3 Democrats. The Republicans are worried that the Democrats going to win that seat just from all that mess. And if you get a Democrat in that seat before November, they can hold that seat. Now, Why do you think they're in Fulton County? Georgia scares the piss out of them. And the thing about it is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, with what you were saying, just the presence of being the incumbent adds a whole lot of weight to
Mm-hmm.
being to your race. And you have Marjorie Taylor Greene campaigning for the Democrat. That is, something I never thought I'd say, but that's where we're at. And you said there's 27 people in that seat running for that seat.
27 people running.
And there's
Majority,
only like what?
and
Isn't it like two or three Democrats? The rest are all Republicans?
there are 3 Democrats, including the guy who ran the last time, the Brigadier General, whose name escapes me. But he's got a good chance of sneaking in because they have 20, and you have 27 Republicans trying to out Trump themselves. Okay.
Right. They're going to dilute
And,
the vote.
right. And the thing about it is that the thing about that area, and I was reading the article on it in AJC, is that those people don't give a fuck about politics per se. They don't care about everything going on around them. They just won't vote. They don't want a Democrat in there. Period. They don't want a D. I mean, that's what the chairman of the local Republican Party says. We don't want a Democrat in there, or we're going to have a conniption fit. That's a quote. Okay, so it's about the R, not the D. But right now, if you listen to Republicans, they're hanging on so desperately to their culture wars, but it's not
Okay.
working.
Well, got a question for you. You
Go
know
ahead.
Georgia politics better than I do in Georgia elections. Is
Yeah,
Georgia like Texas? Do you have to get 50% to win?
Georgia's different also than Texas. Where Texas, yeah, you got to have 50. You have to have over. You have to 50 over 50% in order to declare the winner, or you go to a runoff.
So what
And
could happen here is you could end
yes,
up just like Texas, where they had a runoff for a special election, and it was Democrat versus Democrat, two people.
yeah,
So because they're diluting the Republican vote so bad, this district they may not have a winner in March. They may have to go to a runoff in April or whatever.
it'll be
Um,
me.
May, okay, but that runoff could be Democrat versus Democrat and be a guaranteed pickup, all because Republicans are
Yeah,
fractured so bad, and they're not going to see it coming.
and it's weird to think, and I keep this is this is one because like the governor's election, Georgia does have a significant part of politics. Um, but the governor's race is interesting. They had people running. One of them being the lieutenant governor, not the one that resigned, who's a real Trump humper. But all of a sudden, this rich guy showed up with $50 million of his own money, who was more Trump, said that he's like a mini me Trump, and wants that because he wants to fight against those illegal aliens, DEI, wokeness. Oh yeah, I want to have all the state tax and freeze property taxes. Oh, okay, rich dude, you just don't want to pay your taxes. That's why you're
Yeah,
getting
pretty
in
much.
there. Don't lie to me. But they keep thinking, honestly, they really keep thinking that this bullshit is going to fly. Meanwhile, people are having jobs. People don't have groceries is still high. The solution from the agriculture secretary is eat less. I mean,
Yeah,
you can live on $15 a day. You've got Scott Bassett. Well, if you have problems with money, have one. Your grandfather sell one of his 6 houses. What the fuck is wrong with these people? And the thing
they
about
think
everyone looks
everyone
at them
lives like they
going,
do.
but see, the point is, they think they can get away with it. They think we're stupid. We're
Yes,
not stupid. And
no.
that's why people in the streets, that's why people are upset. That's why you
Well,
can't sell your bullshit to us anymore.
well, that's like here in Iowa. Well, they've
Yeah, I
turned.
was going to ask you before you go on that. What the fuck was that going on in Iowa? With
Which part?
the thing about the making discrimination legal, where they had like people crowding a subcommittee at 8 in the morning screaming at people in
Oh,
Iowa.
effectively, They're trying to. I don't know if it passed. It might have. There is a basically another variation of the Republican culture war bullshit. A don't say gay bill. Can't talk about people being gay in public school. Can't talk about them being members of the LGBTQ. K to 12, can't talk about it. And can't even acknowledge that somebody might be anything other than straight. And that
Yeah.
was the big thing. And there was a big counter protest to them, and in part because they did a subcommittee hearing and a full committee hearing the same day, and they were, I think, even going to try to push it through to a full House or Senate vote today, like same day. They were trying to run this through because it was one of the big promises made by Governor Kim Reynolds that she wanted to get done before the end of her term. She's not running for re-election, and she's done as of sometime in January. I don't remember the exact date, but after November, there's going to, I believe, 110% be a Democratic governor heading to Terrace Hill, the governor's mansion.
So do they not understand that A, she's a lame duck governor, from what you're telling me, and
She is.
two, that people would like to be more concerned about why can't we sell our soybeans at this point?
It's culture war bullshit. And one of the other reasons why I think we're going to have a Democratic governor, you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
They have the new restrictions in place for food stamps. It's
Oh my
going on
God.
right now. They're limiting what you can get. No junk food, no candy, no pre-made bakery anything. Um, it used to be you could go in and like our local grocery store would have pre-made subs. Can't buy those if they're cold. They're considered now prepared food, and they're not food stampable. But they're also limiting what you can go buy to make your own. They've limited certain meats and cheeses out. No tea, no soda. Juice has to be 100% juice. So a lot of the juice blends are like, um, you know, there's like 20% juice and they're added with water, right? To
Yeah,
so
that's standard.
right, all that would be out. It would have to be 100% juice, like cherry flavored juice. And like, because I was looking at it at one point, 100% cherry flavored juice for a quart was like $13, like 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
it's expensive.
Because I was looking at it at one point, like, I like cherry stuff. This sounds like it'd be really good. Then I saw the price. I'm like, I don't care how good it is. That's too expensive. Um,
That's
they're just
concentrate you put into other things. That's what that
right.
is.
You would make your own, you know, juice out of it. You'd put like,
Right.
I don't know, an ounce to a quart or whatever the concentrate mix would
Mm-hmm.
be. But they don't want us to be able to buy any of that. As Rocky says in the comments, it's crazy. You can't get flour and sugar. Yeah, they took out flour, sugar, baking soda, baking powder, baking chips, marshmallow.
Why?
So you can't even get, I believe, cake mixes either. You can't buy a pre-made cake mix, but you can't buy the ingredients to make a cake because it's unhealthy junk food, and they know better. But you were in a farming state where we produce things like flour and corn that goes into corn syrup and all of that, and they're basically shooting ourselves in the foot, saying
No,
we're going
they're
to make it
punishing.
harder to sell those things.
They're punishing poor people.
Yes, 110%.
It's because let's be honest, because they talk about socialism, laziness, blah blah blah. The most important thing is they want to punish poor people for being poor. But I'll get back to that in a minute. But also the other thing they talk about socialism. You do that, everyone's going to want a handout. It's all socialism. Really, we have a fucking socialism system designed for rich people right now. We
Yes.
have a $5 trillion deficit growing because we give rich people socialism. Okay? And you punish the poor because you don't want to work because because the cruelty is the issue. It literally is that, again, movie guy, Disney, The Emperor's New Groove, if you ever seen it, goes up, And the guy, lady's in charge, or the kid's character goes, I don't. It goes, what is it that you want? Food? Ha! You should have known about that before you became peasants. That's what they
Exactly.
think of us. That's what
Yes.
they. I mean, all us talking about, we can erase the budget deficit if everyone worked harder, worked longer. You motherfucker.
Well,
You never did a hard day's work in your fucking life. You don't have bad knees from walking on concrete. I do. You don't have that. Okay? And for them to talk down to us is what is more infuriating than everything else. Okay? I don't know what's more infuriating, that and the people who agree with them and keep voting for these people when they don't have a pot to piss in. What has
well,
that gotten you? Nothing?
the ones that don't have anything, and every time we talk about raising the taxes on the rich, they go, well, I'm going to be rich one day, so I don't want my taxes to go up. They firmly believe that if they work hard enough, at some point they're going to get to $1 billion. The fact is, most of us working a 9 to 5 job will be lucky if we make cumulatively in a lifetime $1 million, period.
Yeah.
We will never scratch $1 billion in our lifetime. But they have told people for so long, if you just work hard enough, you can get there. The other thing, and I've seen this because Americans are bad with math. I'm sure you've seen this too. People say, well, there's 300 and, or people like Musk, he's got what, $500 billion, but there's
Trillion now.
well, whatever. He's got 500 billion, and there's 8 billion people in the planet. They can give everybody $6 billion, and Musk would be, it'd be fine. They can't do the math. They don't understand the complexity of the numbers. And I think sometimes when we write it out, like the numbers 1 billion or 1 trillion or whatever number it is, when we shrink the zeros out and we put the abbreviation behind it, these people, there's a lot of them who don't realize how big that number really is in
Yes.
comparison to what they actually have. If we start writing it out like, oh, hey, guess what? Elon Musk just made another $10 billion, and we write out 10 billion with all the zeros. Some people are going to wake up and go, oh shit, well, I'm only making 30,000 a year, and they can actually see all of the zero differences, and then they're going to realize it. Beyond that, talking about the food stamp stuff here, something that Kim Reynolds did prior to all of these food stamp changes, during Biden, there was a program that the Biden administration had that would give people who had kids in school extra food stamp money over the summer. And we're not talking about a lot. It was like $30 per kid per month or something like that over the summer to offset what the child was not getting, because most of them, if you were on food stamps, you also qualified for free or reduced price school lunch. And because they weren't in school getting lunch, they were going to give people extra food stamp money. Kim Reynolds got a waiver from the USDA to say we are not participating in that program. They still got the money, but instead they were going to have drop-off boxes where you could go pick up once a month or whatever pre-made boxes of food that they determined were what you needed over the summer.
How much money is Kim Reynolds worth?
I'm not sure.
I mean, how do you treat your citizens like that?
Well, we got stuck with her. We got stuck with her initially. Um, Iowa was blue. We were trending blue for a while. We voted both times for Barack Obama. We had Democrats in office under Obama. And then in 2014, I believe, it was either it was 2014, because in 2018, or sometime during his first term, Donald Trump appointed Terry Branstad as ambassador to China. But Republicans couldn't beat Democrats at all here in Iowa. They were losing constantly. So what did they do? They went back to the person who had been governor Iowa doesn't have term limits for governor. And they went back and said, oh, well, hey, Terry Branstad was like a 4 or 5 term successful governor. A lot of people know him. He's got name recognition. They dug him back up, ran him again, and there were people, and I'm going to admit I voted for Branstad because I was too young when he was governor to actually realize how bad he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I recognized the name, and I went, oh, well, I remember him being governor, and things seemed okay, when I was a kid and when I was in high school, etc. Sure, I'll vote for him again. And he won huge on a name recognition vote from people who didn't actually understand how bad it was. And then once he got in, then Donald Trump and the MAGAs took over and they started doing things. And a lot of the left leaning people started leaving the state. Or they got disenfranchised and disillusioned and quit voting. A little bit of both, I think.
So that's how they got a supermajority. Well, kind of a
Pretty much.
supermajority in Iowa. But
And that's how we got Kim Reynolds. He was his lieutenant governor because Donald Trump appoints Branstad as ambassador to China. We get rid of Reynolds, or we get rid of Branstad to get Reynolds. And a lot of people in her first term, like she had the job about a year, I think, something like that, when she was up for re-election. And there were a lot of people who said, well, she kind of got thrown in this mess. She's only been there a little bit. Let's give her a term of her own to see what she can actually do. And oh boy, we saw she fucked everything up between mishandling of COVID. She embezzled a bunch of COVID money, was forced to pay it all back. It went into other things other than COVID response. And she still got reelected over it.
It's sick, isn't it?
It's embarrassing. I mean, I know I voted against her the last couple times, but there's a lot of people that said, "Oh yeah, well this is great," but now we look around and you got farmers that can't sell crops, you've got an economy that's suffering. Now people are struggling to get access to food. It's something else. And I think she is going to be the reason why Iowa flips blue.
I think that's what's going on is that everything that a government should handle, they're not handling. I mean, FEMA's gone. There are people in certain areas that have been hit, like in Tennessee, from the weather. There's no power. There's no FEMA. There's nothing going on other than what Donald Trump's ego and what these sycophants want. And the only thing they care about is what we see on the streets with ICE. They gave ICE $87 billion. $87 fucking billion. That's insane amount of money. And and they're still not meeting the so-called deportation they want. But the point is, what they did in the process, and people are beginning to realize, is they're taking away your rights.
Yes.
And that's what they didn't want. They're realizing that all of a sudden Trump doesn't care, and the Trump administration doesn't care about your rights. They don't. They go after protesters for just protesting. By the way, that guy in Buda, Texas, he got his ass whipped. That was ridiculous. Did you see that?
No.
So kids came out of high school in Buda, Texas. They went on a protest. A lot of kids are doing that. Okay? Contrary to what people are saying, is that schools shouldn't be talking about that. Kids shouldn't be involved, and we need to protect the innocence of children. Hey guys, I went to high school during the mid 70s, elementary school in the early 70s, early 60s. I knew what was going on. Okay, I knew there was something called Vietnam going on. Okay, there was no such thing as innocence. Don't sell me that, old folk. But they came out to protest. So this MAGA fuck in a pickup truck stops, gets out of his car, and jumps a 14-year-old girl who's half his size. Okay,
I shouldn't
with
laugh,
a sign.
I mean, this
No,
is typical MAGA.
yeah. So, and then her friend starts to help her. And then all of a sudden, everyone sees it. Have you seen the movie Weapons?
No.
Okay, there's a scene at the end where all the kids that she tortured come out of this building to jump her, the witch. I kind of gave it with the ending, but don't worry about it. But everyone came on, and all these kids jumped this guy. Literally were lighting him up. One kid had his legs wrapped around his chest and was giving him a chokehold. Okay, they
Good.
beat his ass. Now, he got arrested for abuse of a minor. But what was Greg Abbott's response and Ken Paxton? Oh, those kids need to be arrested. We're going after the school district because they're teaching those kids to be woke. We're going to make sure if they do teach kids how to be woke, we're going to take their district money. This is how fucked in the head they are about the First Amendment.
Well, not to
Okay.
mention, that's all. I've taken law classes. Self-defense applies because they were defending somebody else.
Oh yeah.
You can use self-defense if you are defending another person who is being attacked. And that's basically what they were doing. So there shouldn't be criminal charges. This dude started it. He got his ass kicked in the process. And I'm not surprised. But you got a big, tough, strong MAGA man. Got to go up against
Yeah,
a
he
little
was.
helpless girl.
If you look at when you see the videos, it was like, damn. But the point is that our First Amendment rights are being tromped on because we don't agree with the master. You could hear it. When they talk, you're unpatriotic it's because we speak against Trump. You're not
Yes.
supposed to speak against the president. I mean, I had someone send a comment in one of my videos going, yeah, well, he's still your president. And you shouldn't speak bad about him. You shouldn't speak about. No. Americans have been talking shit about presidents since Washington. That's
Yeah.
our God given right,
And
period.
I think Washington was one of the few. He had some critics, but not many. He was widely loved. But we've been talking shit since before, and our right to protest
Right.
has been something we've actually used. I mean, what would you call the Boston Massacre? It started as a protest against British
Right.
troops. It turned out to be, you know, something way worse when the British turned on American citizens. But it started as a protest. The Boston Tea Party. It was a
Yeah.
protest. The funny
And you
part
think of, go ahead.
is that when we look at American history and you talk about things like that, the Boston Tea Party, the protest at the Boston Massacre, those kind of things. Hell, when you talk about the founding of our country, those are all very liberal ideologies.
Exactly.
Very, very liberal. That what these conservatives don't realize is if they were in colonial times, they would be on the side of the Tories, the British sympathizers. They would be the side saying, "Well, why should we separate? We need to be loyal to the crown. Let's seek reconciliation." But they
Exactly.
believe that they would be on the side of the freedom fighter and not realizing that that would make them liberal.
And this is where the whole thing comes down to what's going on with ICE, and people fear that there's not going to be a midterms, what I think is bullshit. It's going to happen. Stop
There's
it.
gonna be
Stop it
midterms.
with that. Stop it. This is just them blowing smoke up our asses because they're scared. That's fear. That's total
Do not
fear because they know
comply in
they're
advance.
screwed. Yeah. But if you watch what happened in Minnesota, okay, they showed up in Minnesota because they had tested in Chicago and kind of got really pushed. They tested in New York and they got pushed. They went into, okay, we'll go to a red state. Let's see what North Carolina. Oh, yeah, they're not good there. So they came up with this whole thing with the fraud of with the Somali fraud. Dropped ICE in there thinking, okay, now we got a reason, and people are going to be okay with this. They did not expect Minneapolis to react like that. They did not expect the protest and the pushback from Minnesotans. because they really didn't. They expected that to happen in the middle of Chicago with a bunch of colored people. Same thing in New York or in Los Angeles. But when they pushed Minnesota, all of a sudden they said, why, what, where? That's why you have the reactions. Fortunately, what happened to Renee Good, Alex Peretti. I think that as horrendous as they are, they were just guys absolutely shocked and fearful. What the hell's going on? And they reacted accordingly. But this parts of what we just talked about, Eric, America, even if people can say, don't do anything because the Insurrection Act, don't do this, do it. Because Americans don't capitulate.
No,
We
we
were
don't. We
born
never
and
have.
bred. Our country started that way. When immigrants came to the United States, they were indoctrinated in that thinking. Americans do not give in. We don't.
Nope.
That's not what we're geared toward. That's why here in Atlanta, at the University of Georgia, they had an anti-ICE rally. In Athens, fucking Georgia. Here in Atlanta, there are protests already. There are protests in red states. The point is, they thought the whole Project 2025 thing was designed for, the biggest thing was that everyone was going to cooperate and capitulate, like the Taliban, like what they do in Saudi Arabia, like they do in Iran. What they didn't realize is, or like they did in Germany in the 30s, okay? What they didn't realize is you got a generation of people who may have problems with their neighbors, but that's their problem, that's their neighbor. You know, and you're not to come in here and grab my neighbor for what? You're not going to every time we tell you to go fuck off and you attack us, this is not going to go well for you. And it's not going well for them because I don't care what Republicans think they can do. They're not going to win. They can send the military, and what's the military going to do? They can't.
Right.
There's nothing we will not do to stop them to the point, and we haven't even gotten violent yet.
Well,
That's the thing.
I saw, kind of on your point, I saw another creator talking about this, and I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about this idea that even some of the, like, people in Georgia, Texas, wherever, some of the places you wouldn't expect anti-ICE protests to show up, where they are protesting ICE. The thing is, what's going on is they may nationwide have a problem with immigrants, right? But when you
Right.
break it down to the local level, you come into their community, when you come into their town, well, they know Jose, who runs the local Mexican joint. They like him. He's one of the good ones. Oh, you're gonna mess with Jose? Now you got a problem with me. That's how they think, right?
Right.
But they don't know. Like, they may know the guy that runs my local Mexican restaurant, but they don't know who the guy that runs yours. Oh, so he got grabbed. They're okay with that. But you come into their town, oh, suddenly you got problems. Same thing why they don't understand why we're calling them racists and supporters of 1930s Germany, because some of these people are extremely nice and they don't view the people in their community as the immigrants they're targeting. They don't see them
No.
as members of that community. They can go out and spout some of the most horrendous stuff about immigrants, but they don't mean the guy they know personally, the gal they know personally.
Right.
They like them. They think they're okay. And this
And
is
also,
the disconnect with how they think.
right. And then that was part of it. But the other part is then they came for our rights. Everybody's rights. So the right to stand there and tell you, fuck you, in a public land because you're wrong, and then you come out. There is no confrontations that ICE don't create, or police.
Right.
They come out of those buildings and attack people on the public street where we have a right to protest and attack them for their First Amendment rights. Then people will start going, oh, all right. Then you're arresting these people for doing their First Amendment rights. and then you drag them into these detention centers, and they can't get basically no Fourth Amendment rights, no reason, probable cause to arrest them, and then you violate their habeas corpus by not giving them their Fifth Amendment rights, which is due process. And
Yep.
it's a bitch to do that. And all of a sudden, people are going, and then you dumbasses stepped on the Second Amendment with the excuses about Alex Peretti. And now people are going, because now it's a question of now, it's not even about immigration is about anymore. It's about our constitutional rights being taken by this regime for everybody.
Well,
Everybody.
I saw a creator. I've seen a couple creators talking about it. But they started and they said, we affect the Republicans have been talking about a nationwide divorce for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about it. Oh, we should separate red states, blue states, and everything. And did you ever think that in this nationwide divorce between the two parties that the Democrats would be the side that kept the NRA?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the point is, like, as soon as that happened, I was thinking, I read the Second Amendment again, okay? And it's clear about about a government. And I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, this is what we're fighting. This is it. This is what our forefathers wanted to keep it up. But it's not it's their government that pisses them off. Not the Democratic government, who did not want to come for your guns. They just wanted to have control, at least reasonable gun control, so you don't have what we've been going on with shootings. But now
right.
that a lot of people are talking about, yeah, I'm going to have to get myself a weapon, they're all freaking out because they didn't expect that at all.
I know several people during the Biden administration who had a legally owned firearm that they'd owned for decades.
Right.
I know one person in particular had a firearm that hadn't been used since the 70s, but had owned it, properly stored and everything. And it was just there. And said, well, before they make me have to register it or whatever, or, before I have to do anything with it, because I wanted to have it more than anything. I haven't gone hunting in years. Sold it to a family member. Somebody else who had a lot more weaponry said, I'd rather it go to somebody else so I don't have to deal with it if they decide to come for it. And yet they never did. Didn't have any reason to get rid of it. I mean, ultimately, it wasn't used anyway. So what's the difference? But still, it was all fear of what the Democrats would do. The Democrats never wanted to come for the weapons. All they wanted to do is register it similar to how you have to register a car.
Yeah.
Basically, we want to know who has what. And, I've seen people suggest that also if you own weaponry, you need to carry a special insurance. That has been one of the suggestions that have come up. Where if you discharge it inappropriately, you would have to, then your insurance would kick in, right?
Right.
That you would have to, okay, you discharged it and you injured somebody because you fired it inappropriately. Like, for example, like what happened with Dick Cheney out hunting, right? He was out hunting.
Yeah.
He shoots somebody and it was a member of his own hunting group.
Yeah.
Because they wasn't it that the guy wasn't wearing hunter's orange or something like that? Like he wasn't.
It was a bad mistake. Dickie made a mistake. Yeah.
But like, I mean, but okay, he shoots somebody unintentionally, but he still shot somebody.
Exactly.
Well, that's where this insurance would kick in, and actually, that would make things better, realistically, because like you have your homeowner's policy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Something involved on your property, your homeowner's insurance kicks in. You don't have to pay out of pocket for their damages.
Exactly.
How many people in this country could afford a major lawsuit because their weapon was discharged inappropriately? Or I've even seen people say that it could actually kick in and that the insurance would qualify if you own something and your kid gets access to it and takes it to school and uses it there. That it would even apply, even if as long as you had originally had it properly secured and they figured out how to get to it, not that you gave it to them.
Right.
I mean,
But you would have to prove how, if you're going to get a weapon, part of it, it's kind of like a car, you have to prove you can own it, you can use it, and also it's
right,
properly stored. And those are
right.
things that would come with registration and all that. Look, we all know that would have been logical, but they were illogical because they were whipped into a frenzy by fear. But now we're at the point where if someone, Castle Doctrine, if they break it, bust into your house, and you don't know who they are, here we go. And this is where we shouldn't be, but that's whenever people talk about politics. If someone talks to you and goes, "Oh, I don't follow politics. I don't know what's going on." Look, this is no longer about politics. This is not about left leaning, right leaning politics. This is about right, wrong, morality, and our constitutional rights. Trump has taken that from us. Let's talk about ethics and money. Man wants to strip the treasury of $10 billion because he can.
Yeah.
And Mike Johnson's letting him doing it. I mean, we can get into that for an hour of that, but I'm trying to bring this in because I got to get to bed because I'm a dummy and I started this at 10. But that being said, he's doing whatever he wants. He's enriched himself and his family by $1.4 billion in a year. You know what I mean? Just basically cutting deals. They got $843 million from some company in Qatar for this crypto. By the way, crypto crashed. Those people got screwed by the Trump administration, by Trump and his family. I mean, all this money he's making. You ask why is he still fundraising? It's a grift, baby. It's another source of income.
110% a grift. Everything with
Yeah,
him is a
and
grift.
and the thing about it is, that's where your ethics and morality, and he defends it. And then when you see what's going on the streets, ice, the streets, just you can't even. For me, the idea of stopping for gas, I have to look behind my back. I mean, that's a scary thought. I have two kids, from a mixed race. I don't know. Sometimes they go out, they come home from work. We don't know. And this is not right. This is un American. And I think that's what everyone's getting coalescing because the Republicans are hanging on to it for dear life. They think this immigration is going to work. I saw some asshole congressman end his town hall going, "Ice, ice, baby." And everyone got pissed. He thinks he's going to win on that. They still think they're going to win on that in November. No.
Well, I think part of the reason they've hitched their wagon to Donald Trump, and they think his rhetoric and his plans are going to work, and they still think it's going to work. Why it's so tone deaf is Donald Trump did what should have been impossible twice. He
Right.
fell ass backwards into the presidency. He beats Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has been the Republicans' boogeyman for years. And, he beats Hillary when all signs were pointing to the fact that he was a dipshit and a dumbass and she was going to win walking away. Problem was, she campaigned like she was going to win. She
Exactly.
didn't treat it like he was a serious contender. Okay? He falls ass backwards into the presidency. And because he was popular before he entered politics, he brought fresh blood into the Republican Party, something they'd been lacking since Reagan. They had been shedding voters since Reagan. And then, Democrats win in 2020, and Donald Trump comes back around, goes up against Kamala Harris. Every metric, everything you looked at was telling us Kamala Harris was going to win that. She was going to win huge. She was out fundraising him. Her events were packed by way more people. Everything looked like she was going to win. And then somehow he pulls off the miracle of miracles, and he not only wins, but he gives them the House and the Senate. They are they are hoping that he can continue to give them that miracle, not realizing that part of the reason he won in 24 was young people who had never been really political before. Now finally going like they got a lot of the young vote. And now those young voters have been screwed by Republicans. They've seen what we were talking about. And they said, oh shit, I think you are going to see a change here. And they're not going to see how bad the midterms are going to be. Like, they're not going to be ready for a 40 to 50 seat flip in the House. They could lose 6 seats in the Senate. And when they
lose the Senate?
They could lose the Senate. What? Hell, they could lose Texas.
They could even after the gerrymandering. And because they miscalculated on the Hispanic vote. Because they thought, okay, people voted for Trump, they're going to stay voting for Trump. No, because when they realized they got conned, look, Cubans, how's that working for you when he took away your protection? Okay? How's that working for you? It's not. He betrayed everything and everyone. That's what Trump does. He betrays everyone and everyone that's been with him. He looks it out for himself. And you guys bought into the con. Now you're sitting here going, like the farmers, and the thing about it is, and I hate to be an asshole about it, but don't come to me later on crying. Okay? Because when this is all done, and it will be all done in the end, because all these regimes fail like they normally do. They never survive. The reckoning is going to be huge. Not only the reckoning for the people who committed crimes. Look, Pam, you're going to jail. Cash, you're going to jail. Kristi Noem, you're going to jail. Stephen Miller, you may go to jail, but I got a feeling you may go to more than jail, if you know what I mean. All this, because there will be a reckoning. Because people aren't going to say with the next DOJ, it's not going to be the DOJ, it's going to be the DOJ to handle America and crimes. And then there's going to be the special counsel to deal with the tribunal to deal with everything that happened under the Trump administrations. Because those are crimes against humanity. And they'll be judged in a different court.
What I think they might
do
is it would still be in an American court, but we've got different courts that are set up to handle different things. We've got the Court of International Trade. That was the one that first said Donald Trump can't do tariffs. We've got there's a special court. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. It is the particular one for international crimes. It is the one that they are charging Maduro in. Things like that. Congress, I think, is going to pass to set up a special court, probably one in one area of the country, where they are going to charge federally everybody related to anything done by this current administration. And there is going to be a major independent investigation. It wouldn't surprise me if they bring Jack Smith back or somebody like Jack Smith, maybe not Jack Smith specifically, but another American that was over in The Hague prosecuting war criminals. Somebody like that, somebody impartial. And they are going to be given the full powers to investigate and charge, and there are going to be so many charges, and there are going to be so many people up and down that it's going to make your head spin. And I think it's going to include former and current, members of this administration, possibly former and current members of Congress when it gets time to do that. And there's not going to be a lot that are going to escape this. And it could take years depending on who they charge and with what. Now, for example, these ICE agents, the ones that had the altercation with Renee Good and Alex Preddy, there's no statute of limitations for the charge they could catch. Not on state level, not on federal level. And their only hope is that they are thinking that Donald Trump is going to pardon everybody. Newsflash. He's not going to pardon everybody unless he thinks he gets something out of it. Or if he thinks it's going to somehow save him because, well, I gave them a pardon and they won't testify against me. Thing is, he's not going to live that long.
Exactly.
I don't think he makes it to the end of his term. In fact,
No.
I would be surprised if he makes it to the swearing in of the next Congress, either by his health failing or after he costs them the midterms, that this Congress goes, fuck it, we're going to go after him, we're going to remove him, we have more than enough, and we're going to punish him for costing us the House and the Senate.
Yep. It's going to be. That's the thing. That's why you see. I want to again. We talk about this, and we don't doomsay. I'm going to say there will be elections. It's not
Yes.
going to be easy. Okay, what we're seeing right now, and I think if you follow Johnny Bananas, he's kind of on the same vein I am. You are. It's like he can't stop it. Okay, and two, the reason that you've seen all this craziness trying to stop it or warning you, or Steve Bannon talking about ICE everywhere, blah blah blah, or the escalation of ICE on the streets of America. All you're seeing is an extinction burst. These guys are just doing what they can right now, hoping against hope that they can survive. And that's why, like the Project 2025 people are trying to push. A lot of them still think that they can win this. But the thing about it is, the American Taliban is incompetent, and the American people aren't beaten down. We're pissed,
Yeah.
and when we get pissed, we stand up. And that's the thing. Also, everyone was talking about violent protests as opposed to peaceful protests. Let's give credit where credit's due. Martin Luther King and Gandhi came up with peaceful protests. The idea being is that if you protest, if you stand in front of them, the nature of the violence of the regime that you're fighting against comes out and makes them look bad. And that's what you saw in Minnesota. It made them look bad. And it's continuing to make them look bad. And then add in the Epstein files, shake, and that's another show for another day. But that being said, they made them look bad. And that's why even though the people are yelling and screaming, it's still peaceful protest. And the only ones that are causing harm and death is the regime. And people are starting to get savvy to it. People who did not think they were savvy. That's why when Republicans go to town halls, the first question is, "What are you going to do about ICE?" That is the first questions out of people's mouths, and that's what's going on. And that's something that did not count on. And as long as Trump's breathing, they're still going to push forward. But if he stops, and he's no longer there, and they have to depend on J.D. Vance, oh man, it's literally going to be everyone for themselves. It will be ugly.
What I've talked about, I think, I don't remember if you were on the panel on Boomers Live when I was talking about it, but what I have said is going to happen is Donald Trump's going to be gone at some point. Whether they impeach and remove him, whether the Big Mac gets him, or whether ultimately he has some kind of a medical event where there's nothing they can do and they have to 25th Amendment him. Well, as short of the Big Mac getting him, and even that I think is going to lead to the Republican establishment, the Republican National Party is going to go to J.D. Vance with marching orders. And it's going to be very strict. And it's going to be fix this, right the ship, and you need to save us going into 28.
How?
Because, well, it's going to be things like you're going to see J.D. Vance take over, and with the exception of maybe Marco Rubio, the cabinet's going to be gone. You're gonna see between them getting fired and their resignation being called for and them just resigning, you're going to see, maybe not immediately, but over the course of several months, you're going to see everybody in the cabinet get replaced. Firmly believe he's going to pick what I call a reasonable Republican, and I know that sounds crazy, but when I talk reasonable Republicans, I'm thinking people like Nikki Haley, Brian Kemp, Chris Christie. They're not great Republicans, but they're not nearly as objectionable as MAGA. They're not going to be as connected to Donald Trump. Um, you're going to have, maybe even Mitt Romney, somebody who has been vocal anti-Trump, but still Republican. Hell, could even be Liz Cheney. Doesn't matter. He's going to pick a moderate Republican VP, somebody that isn't MAGA, that can get through congressional confirmation. He's going to be able to get better cabinet people, and these policies that Donald Trump has been pushing are going to slowly start dropping off. You're going to quit hearing about ICE enforcement. He's going to talk about enforcing immigration, but you're not going to hear about the roving raids. You're not going to hear about ICE going into Minneapolis. You're going to hear about, you're not going to hear about tariffs. Suddenly the tariffs are going to be taken off of all of our foreign countries. You're going to see all these changes trying to save the party. It's not going to work.
No.
But he's going to be on such a short leash. They're going to tell him to fix the ship, to right it, or I think that they would also remove JD as well. And if they have to impeach Trump to get JD in there to fix the ship, he's going to be looking over his shoulder at Congress, following the game plan, following it as close as he can, because he is going to be afraid of being the next one to go. The only thing that could save him would be depending on who the Republicans have him put in as his VP. If the Democrats are afraid of that person having a legitimate chance to win in 28, the Democrats may save J.D. Vance from an impeachment because of trying to play politics and try to help their chances.
I don't think he can save anything. I think J.D. Vance isn't have the spine to do anything. Also, the thing that'll weigh on him more than anything than all those things you described is the economy. Oh, yeah. I don't think he can save the economy. And that's what people are going to be caring about at that point. They want to know, hey, what about the groceries? How am I going to feed myself? I don't have a job. What are you going to do about that? He can't do that. He can't do that. Everything starts to collapse. They can't save themselves because there's no one competent to save anything.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to fix any of it. I'm telling you that is going to be the marching orders they give him. That they are going to put it all on him to fix it all. And he won't be able to do it. But they're going to be watching him like a hawk. He's going to be under such scrutiny that the whole idea is going to be trying to make it so they don't get blown out in the midterms and that they don't lose the nation for 20 years.
They're going to lose. They already have, I think, Eric. I think this is a done deal. Even if Trump doesn't make it to the midterms and JD, it's too late. Because there's nothing they can do to fix what's happened. Their reputation's shot. They signed their death warrant with Trump. They're going to ride it out to the end. And this is going to cost this party. It's going to change everything. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party will change. Not because they want to, it's because we make them. And that's what it is. And so with that thought, again, it's not going to be an easy road, but we're watching them die on the vine by themselves. That's what we're watching. Everyone's putting enough pressure on them on the streets of America that they're beginning to realize they're screwed. The economy push is coming. 600,000 jobs lost, that's going to pay the price within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Watch what happens. So, but I want everyone we do this because to keep you understanding that the doomsayers may say, yeah, it's over. It's not. If you keep speaking out, keep doing your thing, where there are more of us than there is of them. One last thing before I sign off. I know a couple people came in. Sorry. It's 11:49 and my wife is about ready to beat me with a stick when I get to the bedroom. Real quick. The Super Bowl is Sunday. Okay? And those people who may not have a dog in the fight, I'm going to put it this way. Robert Kraft is the biggest Trump supporter ever. He has contributed to both his inauguration. He's a good friend of him. And so if you're going to pick a team, please understand that Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots make me sick. Okay? I'm going to choose the Hawks. I think the Seahawks are going to win big. And I want them to win big because the idea of the Patriots winning and watching that Trump humper getting another fucking trophy makes me ill. And that's my take on that.
Well, I'm not supporting either team. I can't stand the Patriots. Add in the fact that Robert Kraft is a Trump humper on top of all the reasons why I can't support the Patriots. But for personal reasons, I also can't support the Seahawks. So I'm going to root for the commercials in this one. And
who do you? Who's your team? Mine
Kansas
is the
City.
Rams.
Kansas
fuck
City.
the Chiefs.
I mean, I was a Kansas City fan back when they sucked.
No,
I lived in Kansas City for a while, and I got caught up in the love for the team that the community showed. And
that third Super Bowl III, that film is Super Bowl III with Hank. Good Lord, why I draw a blank on his name? The coach, always wore a suit. Hank Stram. That's such great teams. I got that. The Seahawks are a good team. The Rams and the Seahawks. It would have been the Rams, except for 2 plays with the Seahawks. The Seahawks.
If it had been the Rams, I would have supported the Rams.
Rams.
Now, when they were still in Missouri, it would have been tough. Just with them being.
Oh, the Rams were dead to
rival.
me in St. Louis. They were dead to me till they came back to L.A. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, with them being the cross-state rival, it would have been a little harder for me to support them.
Oh, I got you.
Missouri,
I
could have supported that, and the Rams haven't been there for how long?
2-3 years. The SoFi Super Bowl, they won that one.
But
when they beat the Bengals.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I remember the Rams is that I followed the Rams when they first came to L.A. We used to live near the Coliseum, and when they had Rams games at the Coliseum, because we lived really walking distance from the Coliseum, my dad would pay. People will park in our front yard for $20.
Oh.
My dad would sell parking spots in our front yard for $20, so people could walk to the game. Yeah, and that was back in 1969, 670. Roman Gabriel. That's how far back I go with the Rams. But when they moved to St. Louis, they were dead to me. That Super Bowl they won in St. Louis doesn't count. Not for me. Never will. But I'm just for the Seahawks. To me, I have been watching the Patriots talk shit for decades, but knowing that Robert Kraft's support of Trump is one of the reasons why we are where we are. Him and the rest of the Patriots can go, you know what. So go Hawks. I hope it's a thing. Go Bad Bunny. That the MAGA is just going out of their minds. And the first thing Green Day is going to do is American Idiot, and I'm going to love that and be screaming at the TV that. But yeah, it's going to be a fun Sunday as usual. Thanks, Eric, for showing up. This went longer than it was fun. We had a good time. Trucker, I'm sorry you came in late. Couldn't bring you up, but it's 11:53 and I got to get some sleep and I got to take some shit right now from the wife. But that being said, guys, you can follow me here at TikTok long as I survive. I'm at Substack at Binder38US and Substack. I have a paid subscription. If you want to support my work, $8 a month, that's great. There's no paywall. And also YouTube at Binder38US. Eric, thanks a lot. Stay warm in Iowa. Guys, have a good rest of the week and go Hawks. Y'all be safe.